So Gayle King is one of the co-hosts of CBS This Morning, and I was critical of her yesterday on Twitter, among many other people who were critical of her. But man alive, let me just say, behind the scenes, her team freaked out. They really want me to take back my criticism. It's a no. Okay?
No, you should
it's a
not.
No.
I retweeted you. No, you should not, because I'm not taking my retweet
Stand by every
away.
word. Every word. So here's what she did while interviewing the father of a hostage 8-year-old girl being held by Hamas. So this man moved to Israel 30 years ago. He's Irish. He raised his daughter there in Israel, and she was one of the little girls taken hostage off of a kibbutz in Israel. She is now in Hamas custody. We do not know whether she's dead or alive. And Gayle King has him on the show and decides this would be a great way to talk to him and great place to go with him.
But now this seems to be all about politics. What do you say about that? You know, you have innocent children in Palestinians who are dying, innocent Israeli children who are dying, and no one seems to be able to say enough, stop that.
I'm not interested in politics at all. My only concern is getting Emily back.
Unbelievable. To me, it was grossly inappropriate to bring up this moral equivalency between, you know, some Israeli kids were hurt, but some Palestinian kids, they've also been taken. And now it's just kind of politics. That's not at all what's happening here. This is not about politics. It's about an evil terrorist group that killed 1,400 innocents, including children and women, and has this man's daughter right now. You don't go there with him. It was insensitive. It was wrong. And yes, to those of you at CBS wondering whether I saw the whole interview, I watched the whole thing. That was grossly inappropriate.
It's gross, it's evil, it's amoral, and it's, again, consistent with everything that the mainstream media does when it somehow comes to Israel and the Jews. The idea that you would sit down with this man and ask him about the children who are dying in Gaza solely because of Hamas. Everyone knows Israel literally drops leaflets, please leave this building. We know there are rockets in this kindergarten. They send text messages. They call people. They have a humanitarian corridor. Hamas wants dead Gazans almost as badly as they want dead Israelis. But Gayle King, it's really embarrassing. And I know there's no low that is too low for the people at CBS News or any of these places at this point. But the gall of her to say this, and by the way, when she says, I wrote it down because I want to get it right, she said, no one seems to be able to say enough. It's like, actually, everyone's saying it. Israel has said it since day one. Hamas, right now, release all of the hostages. By the way, there are hostages, not just Israeli hostages. We think there's at least 12 American hostages. We also believe that a woman gave birth just a day or two ago, one of the hostages. So there's actually more hostages now. I mean, it's so psychotic. It sounds like a Saw movie or something, what's going on over there. But there's plenty of people saying enough, and there is a political solution. The political solution is that they give up the hostages, and every single member of Hamas turns themselves in. And then we can see what happens on the other side. The same people, the same nonsense coming out of Gayle King is the same nonsense coming out of AOC and Ilhan Omar and Rashida Tlaib and the rest of the Hamas caucus, which is that we should suddenly have a ceasefire. And it's like, you know what? We did have a ceasefire on October 6th. There were no Israelis, no Jews living in Gaza. They wanted nothing to do with the place. They left in 2005. They said, take our temples, take our greenhouses, take our infrastructure. There were wealthy Jews in New York who donated millions of dollars to Gaza. We know what Hamas did with the water pipes. They turned them into rockets. They're now exposing all of the weapons that they keep under Shifa Hospital. But Gayle King, she's the same as, say, an Andrea Mitchell over at MSNBC. These people who just want to be pet on the head so that they don't look like they can, that they're somehow in it with the Jews or something to that effect. And yes, you still get beheaded, ladies. That's how it works.
Yeah, she's been going with the Hamas numbers. Hamas keeps trying to tell us that, they've got 10,000 dead. How do we know that? How do we know that? Same way we know that Israel was behind that hospital bombing, that it wasn't actually behind, that, killed 500 poor innocent Palestinians, which wasn't true at all. That was from Hamas. So are these numbers of dead. We're not going to know. Honestly, we're not going to know until Israel tells us, because Israel revises its numbers. Israel actually just graded, whatever, however you want to say it, the number of dead in Israel killed by that Hamas attack from 1,400 to 1,200, because they were saying, you know what, once we actually looked at the dead bodies, we realized that some 200 of them were Palestinian fighters who had gotten killed by the IDF or others. That's what Israel does. Hamas is the one who inflates the numbers, but she's gone with their numbers. Oh, it's so sad, the number that they've killed. And by the way, she's the same person who had Alice Walker on, the one who wrote The Color Purple, who's like a vile anti-Semite, and did a fawning interview with her, didn't raise any of her literally like lizard people belief about Jews. In the interview, just puffed her up. That's it, because she's Oprah's fave. So she got a total pass. So this is a pattern of falling down on the job when it comes to the Jews. Go ahead.
Well, she also got the job because she's Oprah's fave. There's nobody wandering around that's a Gayle King fan. I mean, that's fairly obvious. But putting that aside for a moment, I think, Megyn, the other problem that we're all having here is that there is such a stark discrepancy between these two sides. It's a little easier for all of us to contemplate what a war would look like between warring nations. That kind of have roughly the same armies, that kind of have roughly the same types of people and cultures in them, and they're having some sort of territorial dispute. The problem is this is not a territorial dispute. The Palestinian movement, since before 1948, has always been about exterminating the Jews. Let's not forget, before 1948, when people talk about a 75-year occupation, the people that are saying, oh, Israel has been occupying Palestine since 1948, 75 years, they're calling for a return to the British Empire. I mean, we could also go back 250 plus years, and we could bring back the Ottoman Empire. There has never been a Palestinian state. In 1936, the Peel Commission offered to split the land between two people. They didn't call them Palestinians at the time. They were known as Arabs. It was between Arabs and Jews. The Arabs said no, the Jews said yes. 1947 partition plan. The British, they were like, okay, our empire is coming to an end. We're leaving this place. Could we split this thing for you? The Jews said yes. The Arabs said no. Then 5 Arab armies launched a war. The Jews miraculously won. 2000, 2008. At least 5 times they've been offered a state and said no every time. Even in Bill Clinton's book, he says how the offer that was made in 2000, it was 97% of what any sort of Palestinian mainstream thinker would have wanted. 97% of the territory, and they were going to swap another 3%. And Arafat basically said to him, look, if I sign this deal, he knew it was the deal. He said, if I sign this deal, they're going to kill me. So they didn't sign it. So this has nothing to do with territory. There is a tiny little place smaller than New Jersey where some Jews live that was nothing but a desert and partly a swamp, that they made the desert bloom, and they have brought Western values into just 2 generations off the Holocaust. And it's a modern miracle. And the neighbors aren't that happy, but it's baked into the story of the Jews. If you've ever I'm sure you have spent a holiday with some of your Jewish friends, every holiday is, they tried to kill us. They did kill a whole bunch of us. We survived. Let's eat.
Guess what costs Americans about $11 billion a year? The flu season, which is right now. Kids get sick and they miss school. Parents miss work and then get sick too. And now you can add in COVID variant whatever to the mix. That's why I want to tell you about EnviroCleanse, the new science in home air purification. EnviroCleanse says it will capture and destroy flu and COVID viruses from your home, plus bacteria, toxins, mold, and allergens. EnviroCleanse technology is so powerful, it was chosen to purify the air systems on board Navy ships and subs. EnviroCleanse helps keep our servicemen and women healthier. And EnviroCleanse is the only home air purifier that promises you and your family better health by helping clear your home of cold, flu, and COVID viruses. Also, I got you a 10% discount to get one. Go to ekpure.com, ekpure.com, use promo code Megyn. Promo code Megyn at ekpure.com. Hey, thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.